Elijah.
Hello, Elijah.
Hey, man, what's going on? Good to
What's
see
up, pal?
both of
How are
you
you?
again.
Good to see you.
Yes,
I
that
didn't know you had
works
two
for
guys.
me.
Okay, hold on. Let's see here.
Of course.
5 and 4. We're all on?
Sam Barnett.
Hi, Sam. How are you?
Hey guys, I just want to just double check you guys have us down with our correct air dates and networks.
We're on the air right now, miss.
Yeah, but let's...
You're talking on the air.
Who
is she?
Is it... okay.
She's with BBC
Oh,
America.
okay.
Season 2 premieres October 14th on BBC America.
Hope
We
you guys
nailed
aren't
it.
doing. Hope you guys aren't doing Fallon later. She's just gonna walk right out in the middle of the camera. Hey, making sure we have.
Hey, Jimmy,
Lens
did you have
cap,
the right...
Welcome to. So you were in internal affairs. Did you used to like
Yeah.
hang out with Richard Gere or anything?
you rushed to it.
Oh.
There was no hanging out with Richard Gere, but yeah, I was around him. Yeah.
Here's why I'm asking.
He was practicing that question.
Have you lost weight?
I have. Thank you. I felt like I put a couple back on, but I've kind of kept most of it off.
Looking good, dude.
Thank you, man. The reason I asked is we just had Michael Madsen do a stellar interview in here. He was awesome.
Wow,
And I
Michael
had-
Madsen.
He
Yeah,
was shitting on a bunch. He was shitting on Kevin Costner and
everyone,
George Clooney.
Wow.
Oh,
Are
yeah.
you kidding?
And then he asserted that all men beat their girlfriends.
Jesus.
I mean, it was just crazy town.
That is an interview for the ages.
Yeah. It was
But has
crazy.
that been podcasted? Can people?
It just happened.
It just
It
happened.
wow.
Like he looked. I was talking about the NFL, and I said, "Yeah, but haven't they lost a little bit of honor with the, with the wife beaters and the dog beaters and stuff?" And he was like, "Do you have a girlfriend?" I was like, "Yeah." "Oh, I have a wife." And he was like, "You ever smack her?" And I was like, "What?
What?
No." And he was like, "I don't believe
He goes,
you."
"You're full of shit."
He's like, "You're full of
Wow.
shit."
And he
So
is
he's
full of shit.
essentially in that saying that he's implicated himself in beating his former girlfriend.
No, he just knows Sam hits his.
Oh, okay.
I
see.
I
Right.
thought it was. I thought it was for everyone. It was just me.
But I had this open, so I asked Michael. I'm like, "You were in Internal Affairs." I didn't recognize him from Internal Affairs.
He's in Internal Affairs.
No, that's
Oh.
but that was his reaction. No, I wasn't Internal Affairs. And then it turns out it was your
He was reading your
Ah,
IMDb.
yeah.
fucking IMDb. I just had it open to the bottom. In 1990, I mean, I didn't realize. How old were you? You were in Internal Affairs?
I was, yeah, I was. 1990. So I think we shot it in '89. I was 8.
What did you do in it?
I played which Baldwin is in that film? Why?
I don't remember. It's been many years since I've seen
Daniel Baldwin. I played the son of one of the characters.
Wow. Okay, I didn't realize that. So I thought Madsen maybe played like
Yeah.
a cop or something. So I asked him and was corrected.
I think I'm only in like 2 or 3 scenes in the film.
Do you remember auditioning for it?
I don't remember auditioning. I remember working on it. And then the 2 people who played my parents took me to the zoo so that they could get a sense of, like, we could form somewhat of a bond before we started filming as their son.
Was that weird?
That
It was
sounds really weird.
Sweet. It was really sweet.
Yeah, I think that sounds like a nice.
If I were like your parent, though, I'd be like,
That's weird.
You can't. No, you can't
No,
take my
you're
kid
not
to the
taking my
zoo.
kid to the zoo.
Uh-uh.
These strange
that's-
actors.
And they're
taking
like,
me
no,
the
we're
zoo.
trying to get in character, and I don't. Yeah,
He's our son now.
yeah, that's not how it works.
Have you worked with kids? Because I've gone many times. I've talked about Daniel Day-Lewis in There Will Be Blood.
Oh, God.
The way he touched the kid in that. Like, have you worked with a kid where you had to like hug him or pick him up?
You asking
at
Elijah
all?
Wood if he touches his?
No,
If he touches kids?
meaning when you work with a kid who's not your kid.
Yeah.
It seems like a really scary
Oh,
thing
you
to
mean
do.
like you have to touch him as if you're their parent?
Yes, in the film, in the role.
Right.
And
I've never played a parent.
because he the way he handled his son in that,
Right.
I was like, he's touching someone else's kid, but and it really looked like it was his son. Sure. And I'm like, that level of comfort.
Right. I see where.
So taking you to the zoo is not that crazy.
No, not that crazy.
I just bring it all back around for no reason.
Yeah,
I just basically spoiled the interview with a who gives a shit fact about a guy that retired from acting abruptly. Do you know why he retired, by the way? Anyone know why Daniel Day-Lewis left?
Nope. I don't. I think if I were to
Is he sick,
harbor
or-
a guess, I think it's he goes through a very intensive process that everyone knows
Right.
about. It's sort of legendary that he goes so far into becoming his character that he lives as that character for the duration of the film. On Lincoln, he was only referred to as Abraham Lincoln on set. On The Crucible, he helped build the sets of the town and then also lived in one of the homes. So I think you can imagine and extrapolate on that. That would be a very intensive thing to do every time you go to make a film, where he literally extracts himself from regular life for that period of time. And I think that's a lot.
So his wife is like, I'm tired of fucking Abe Lincoln.
But I mean, imagine that, like, it's not as, we turn off. Like, when they say cut, we're off and we're talking amongst ourselves, and then we go back in. And it's not one versus the other in regards to how you get there. I think his performances are extraordinary. But I also think that takes a toll.
It must be tiring.
Have you guys had to work with people that don't turn off, like the way he doesn't turn off? Because I always wonder if that's annoying
to other people, right?
Yeah, to the other actors.
We had an actress on our season that didn't turn off.
Yeah, we did.
Really?
Yeah, we did.
What did she do?
There's a character in our show. Can we say? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're the
Yeah.
boss.
Wilder.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the actress is really wonderful and super charming, and she kind of her thing is to sort of be in the character the entire time.
Wow.
And
but that's not annoying for you to be like, oh, let's have a conversation here.
It wasn't annoying because
No.
she's not annoying.
No.
As a person,
Gotcha.
she's lovely.
Yeah.
So
How do you
and
know?
also-
She's doing a character, though.
Well, that is true. But the
it's-
character's a really beautiful character, isn't it? And
Yeah.
and in a way, I mean, if anyone's going to stay in character, it's great that it's her because it's one of the weirdest characters in the entire show.
So
it's
is
really
it much
hard to
different than
do.
her as a person?
That is a good point. I actually don't know.
Don't know.
I don't either.
Because I don't know. I genuinely don't know what she's.
So
she
the-
seems very sweet, but I
so
don't
it
know
was
what
like
she's
a
like.
fun character to be around.
Yeah.
So the
she's-
fact that that
yeah.
was the person you were around wasn't annoying because you
Yes.
didn't mind the character.
I think it would depend on the person, right?
Yeah,
And the
definitely. And
character.
it would depend on the character.
But you
Yeah.
wonder as an actor, I would be embarrassed to stay in character, like cut, and then the sound guy is doing something, and I'm like, fourscore.
What is that, a camera?
I'd feel so
I don't know what
silly.
these cameras are. I'm Abraham Lincoln.
Yeah.
Yeah, like they're all watching
I
me.
think I would feel embarrassed as well.
I would.
feel
Right?
like I would
I would.
be feeling like I'm being an imposition on the entire crew to support my thing.
Right.
But
Right,
it's-
like
but
it's-
saying that, I don't have I have full respect for people who do it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I would feel embarrassed, but it's not to say that the person doing it is wrong.
'Cause you
I don't think I have the capacity to do that because it would feel like I'm drawing too much attention to myself.
Right, you don't want the people who are working with you on these projects to all be living under this assumption that this is an Elijah project and it's all about you and we're just here to make sure that we get the best performance out of Elijah. Like you're like, no, we're a team.
We're a team.
Yeah.
And that's how I think. But again, it's no criticism to the people that do it because my God,
No.
the results are amazing. And
Yeah.
it's a sandbox, right? And everybody's doing their specific role to contribute. And if that one person needs a certain environment to exist in that space, fair enough.
I sit in the sandbox and the cat covers me.
I would love to watch somebody do it though poorly. Like I would love to see it not have good results.
I'm sure that happens.
And, like have a bad actor
Yeah.
who then continues to portray the character poorly off set. And you're
Oh,
like,
it
you're,
must.
Like
you're
all
so
that
bad at
effort,
this.
and
Yeah.
you just get a bad performance in the end anyway.
Like I would imagine, like in community theater or something, there are people who take themselves way too seriously that just stink at it, and are doing that, and are like they read that Daniel Day-Lewis does it, so they're
Right.
like, well, I'm also a great actor, so I'm going to do this, and you have to just deal with them doing like a terrible accent.
You
or something.
know that happens.
Yeah, of course it does.
You know what I have encountered more often than not, though, is not method, but rather people keeping their accent going. That I've seen.
That's probably.
But do you know
that
what I
makes
mean?
me laugh.
But just to help themselves.
Yeah.
That
so it's
makes
more
sense.
natural.
So you don't forget.
Fiona Dourif's father, Brad Dourif, who was in Lord of the Rings.
And Cuckoo's Nest.
Yeah. Oh my God.
And The Exorcist 3.
Oh my God, he's so good in The Exorcist.
Isn't
3.
he tremendous?
And he's the voice
and
of
he popped
Chucky
up
as
in an
well.
episode
We
of The
were-
X-Files
yeah.
in which he was incredible.
And
He's
he
an
was also
incredible
in
actor.
Deadwood as well. He's an
By the way, his
amazing
daughter
actor.
is also in the new Chucky movies.
And
Yes.
she is also in our show.
Hey,
And plays Bart.
Yes.
Did you get to meet
She's
Brad?
great.
Yeah, I've
Oh.
worked with Brad a bunch.
Oh, you met him in The Lord of the Rings, you met him too.
Yeah. But the thing about Brad, on taking it back to that thing, on Lord of the Rings, he kept his accent going the whole time just because it helped him with, a foreign thing that he wasn't used to.
But
you
you're
think he
talking
did that
to
in
Brad. But he's
But you were totally having conversations with Brad. He was not worm tongued.
Fiona does that. She keeps the Bart voice, but you're very much talking to Fiona.
Do you
Yeah.
think he did that in Cuckoo's Nest when he had to keep a stutter? Because he had a bad stutter in that. I'm like, do you do that off camera when you're?
I imagine he may have. Yeah.
That wouldn't annoy me as much as somebody pretending they were a totally different person. But then again, you have such a lack of being self-conscious. That's probably why Daniel Day-Lewis is so fucking great, because he has no fear of embarrassing himself, no self-conscious. He's just this guy. And to be able to do that in real life, it's probably even harder to do that offset than it is on. So if you can pull it off offset.
It's sort of a thing where you could look the fool, right? So it's actually
Yeah.
kind of brave.
I mean, I just want to check my phone between scenes. Do you know what I mean? I can't.
you don't want to keep working.
I don't want to keep working.
Yeah.
I want some downtime.
Yeah, you want to rest.
Quite lazy.
How
Yeah,
different
I
is the
get
guy
that.
you're playing from who you are, though? Like, are you playing a guy
Okay,
that's
so
very different?
I think he's totally different. And then throughout season 1 and season 2, people keep going, "Oh my God, you're so like Dirk." So I don't know. I think he's totally different. I think some people often think that you are the characters that you play, and I'm really not. I can speak as fast as he speaks because otherwise I couldn't speak as fast as he speaks. Do you know what I mean? But that's kind of it.
That's funny, though, because people get so used to the TV show. They're like, "Oh, that's you." And you're like, "Did you know me at all before the TV show?" It's not. It's not what I'm like at all.
Not me.
Who do you guys play in this? Could you describe the show a little bit for anybody who's not seen it?
Oh, fuck.
Go. Your turn.
All right. The show, Dirk Gently's Holistic Detective Agency, is a show about Dirk Gently, who is a holistic detective. A holistic detective is someone who, instead of using clues and the sort of the regular step-by-step process of determining how to solve a case, allows the universe to show him where he needs to go. It puts the things in front of him which seemingly are tangential and random and chaotic, and those things ultimately, hopefully, will lead to a result that solves the case. And it's essentially about Dirk and my character Todd, who he's kind of roped in to be his assistant unwillingly, and then sort of now as a willing participant, kind of navigating these cases. And each season is a case. It's It was described by Max this season to us that it's actually an anthology show in the sense that each season is a different story, but it's also a different set of genre. So our first season was time travel and body swapping, and this season is high fantasy and magic. But it's the same characters. So it's an anthology show in which the same characters occupy the show, but it explores different cases in different worlds. And
so, is there any type of thing that actually works? Is this a totally fictional style of being a detective or no?
What's that?
Is this a totally fictionalized style of being a detective, or is there anything called, what was the name of it?
Holistic detective.
Now, has that ever been tried by anybody or no?
Oh, I just don't think that's a thing. I think partly because it is Dirk very much relying on his intuition,
right?
But it's also a bit of a really crappy superpower that he has.
Right.
It's crappy as in because it doesn't really work very well, and he gets into a mess all the time. But essentially, he is sort of connected to some sort of energy and flow of the universe, which really does take him where he needs to end up.
Well, intuition is something. I mean, look, you get gut feelings.
Absolutely.
It's scientifically provable, though.
No, it's not. But sometimes you just know. Like, you ever somebody gets on the elevator and you're like, "Oh, that person's a creep." And you just know.
Sure. Yeah, sometimes you sit down to do radio with them.
Yeah, absolutely. Wait, whoa.
Hey, we're not that bad. Come on.
Yeah. No, but people are going to think you mean me. Just clarify.
Yeah, that's fine.
Cool.
So Max Landis is obviously the creator and the writer and everything of the show. And I think we talked about him a little bit when you came in last year to promote season 1. That it was such the show is so different from anything else that's on TV. When it is successful, especially successful enough to get a season 2, does Max then kind of go nuts with his season 2 and realize, well, now I don't have to the little bit that I had to prove to people to get season 1 on the air. Now that it's a success, I can do whatever I want. Is there that feeling, or do you not? Is there a discipline to it?
I think what's great about BBC America is the risk that they took on doing this show, because I think Max from the beginning has done what he thinks he needs to do and what's right for him. So if anything, this is just kind of confirm that it was a great idea and he just gets to run with it.
Yeah.
Validated.
And honestly, before we even got a season 2, he had it mapped out pretty well in his head.
He's got the first 4 seasons there in his mind.
That's got to be great for you guys, because you're probably going to get 2 more seasons of work.
God willing.
Fingers crossed.
Or at least if you do get the seasons, it's not going to be some guy frantically like, "Oh my God, I got to write another season," and just like
that's true.
shitting the bed.
No, there's very much a plan, I think.
Totally. And the great thing about the second season is that the establishing's out of the way.
Right.
So the notion of like, what are we doing tonally? Who are these characters? Where are they coming from? That work is done, essentially. So it's now just expounding on those characters' journeys, and it allows the freedom of just like jumping into a story. Which there's also a complicated aspect to the storytelling that existed in the first season that certainly is a part of this season. It's very chaotic. Things seemingly are disconnected. So it sort of requires you to focus to follow it.
Sure.
The first season was far more complicated.
Like willfully complicated though, wasn't it?
Totally.
Like it was sort of on purpose that complicated that as an audience you had to sit back, let it wash over you, and you do get the answers and the end result. but you have to wait a few episodes. I think season
It's almost
2
like
is...
training you
It
to
is.
watch the show like this.
It is
This
because
how this show
yeah,
is.
because it's so unique.
Right.
I think we had to teach people how to watch it. Season 2, I think, is a lot more streamlined. It's set in 3 very specific places. They all feed into the same mystery. I think it's easier to follow, but no less complicated, no less crazy. And I think a lot more fun and character driven because we know our characters so well now.
And it's also, just to give you one, it's going to premiere October the 14th on BBC America.
Yes.
How do people find BBC America? Because I don't always know where everything is on the. I just sometimes Google helps. Like I'll just Google it, FiOS BBC America.
I mean, Google could help every single time. It's there.
But
It's
is
on
there a
the
better
internet.
way to do it?
Single time.
Yeah, all of the time.
Like, never fails.
It never fails.
But is
it's
there a
also
better
on-
way to find it?
BBCAmerica.com.
Yep.
Okay.
You can catch season 1 on Hulu
Hey.
right
Oh, you
now.
can.
And then season 2, on BBC America.
Do you get nervous when a show premieres that people aren't going to like it?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think
Yeah.
last season in particular, because it is such a bold show, there really isn't anything quite
Right.
like it. So I think the anticipation of people getting what we were trying to do and going along with it was a little bit more of a fear. This season less so. I feel like
Well, that's what I was going to ask, because now, and maybe you haven't even thought of this, and I'm just putting the pressure into your head for the first time. But now, like, the new pressure is, okay, because there's a legitimate cult fan base for this show now in America. Now you have to live up to expectations. Before it was like, let me show you this thing, let me get you on board. Now you're coming into season 2 with, like, expectations are established, and it has to live up to it now.
I agree, but I mean, maybe I would say this because I'm in it, but I also feel like a fan of it because it's so crazy and it's so wide-ranging that I can't hold the whole thing in my head, so I do feel a bit objective about it, and I think this season defies those expectations. It certainly did for me when I was reading the scripts. It's like, oh, this is even better than season 1.
Yeah, I mean, we can't say how people are going to react.
Sure.
So there's that unknowable thing. But I with a similar amount of objectivity, I prefer where this season goes. I think it improves upon the first season. So, yeah, I don't have a great deal of apprehension.
No.
Creatively, I'm really proud of it and excited about
I'm
it.
excited for people to see it. It feels like a show that now knows what it is.
Right.
And Sam, we didn't know you were coming. We didn't. So I don't have your bio in front of me. I'm happy you're here. But what did you do right before?
Before this, I was doing Penny Dreadful.
Oh, you did do that. Is
Yeah.
that series done? I guess it is. Obviously,
It's done. Yeah, they finished it very, very quickly. At the end of season 3, it wrapped up, and suddenly it was over. And I think the fans were really kind of disappointed because it was exciting.
Did you know it was going away?
No, I had no idea. We weren't told. It was very much.
So
wrapped
between
up,
that
top
and this,
secret.
you were probably in this, like, space of, like, what
You
the
know
fuck?
what? It worked out really well because I was optioned for another couple of seasons on Penny Dreadful, and had that gone on, I would not have been able to do this. And I was cheating a little. I was flying on the plane to my screen test whilst not knowing if I'd even be able to do it because Penny Dreadful was still at that point going ahead.
Did you
you really
suspect that
wanted
it might
to
go
do it.
I
away
didn't
though?
realize
No.
it was that close.
Oh, it was really close.
Wow.
Yeah, we were kind of like, okay, let's just not. I mean, it's bad, but we were like, let's just not tell anyone here, and we'll just carry on with this process and see how it works out. And thank God it did.
You were just.
Yeah, no
they
kidding.
literally just blindsided you and said, "All right, we're done." There's no indication.
No, they did it to everyone, fans and cast alike. I mean, not in a bad way. It had a very satisfying ending as a show. I just think people felt it had more in it that could have run with it. But of course, Ava Green's character got killed off, and I feel like she was the linchpin in that show.
Right.
So without her, it was a question of, can you reinvent?
In hindsight, it's kind of nice sometimes when a show that you like ends before
Before it
while
gets
there's
buried.
still a little
Yeah, I totally
bit
agree.
of yeah.
Like things like The Office
Yeah.
in the UK, 2 seasons, right?
Right.
12
Perfect.
episodes, 13.
Perfect. Same with like Faulty Towers, great comedies that Britain sometimes does, and they do 2 seasons, and it's enough.
Because in America, that fruit was squeezed by the end.
Oh my God! Yeah.
Wasn't a drop of juice left.
Yeah, it's very true. They tend to milk things here, and there's more pressure, I guess, because there's 24 episodes a season. You know,
Yeah.
Ricky did six, a special, and finished.
That's it.
Yeah.
Same thing with extras, right?
I think the
Yeah.
British are better at doing that. I think they're better at doing that than American shows are, with just like leaving you wanting a little bit more.
I think we're coming around to it though. This notion of a limited series is starting to pop up here, which I love, and
I
it,
do.
it primarily exists on cable. the networks want to milk something until it dies.
Right.
Because if it's successful, they're making a shit ton of money and keep the thing on the air as long as possible. But
And not successful is the scariest thing in the world. Whereas on streaming, on Netflix or whatever, or a cable channel, they're like, okay, well, we got this other series then.
yeah.
Like, we'll just try it with this one.
Absolutely. And I just love the freedom of something that's limited. It exists within one context and it tells a story, and however long it needs to tell that story, it does it in its
Yeah,
own.
I loved Big Little Lies and the OA. Like, they were contained stories.
I did a limited series. It wasn't supposed to be a limited series, but it turned out to be a
Single episode series?
Yeah, that's what I do. I've done a lot of limited things. Well, it's called Lucky Louie. It was just a whole character arc in one season, and also a couple of just one-offs.
Right.
Oh, Louis C.K.'s HBO show.
The first
Right.
one, yeah.
That
You
was
know
a
what?
limited run.
You know what's so funny? It was. But you know what's so funny? I didn't see it at the time, and I remember it was so chided. Like, it was really, really poorly received.
By their critics, yeah.
And it was, canceled immediately. And then I went back years later, like once the HBO Go became a thing where you could kind of go through the archives and check out stuff. It's really kind of clever and ahead of its time.
I think it's really
He
good.
essentially made, an adult language, like odd couple-y, live audience, studio audience with, canned sort of multicam sitcom, but with the content that you would never have in a multicam sitcom. I thought it was really
I love
innovative.
The fans of that show were weird. Like we went up every week with viewers. It was weird, but the critics hated it, and it's so funny to see them love Louis so much now because the same ones who were like, he stinks. They trashed him for directing Pootie Tang.
Yeah.
And now those same guys are like, oh, okay, we
What
get
a
it.
genius.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's a brilliant guy. But I guess that's how it is when they like something, they like it.
Elijah, is Nick from The Bachelor your favorite celebrity friend? Because I feel like he'd be my favorite celebrity friend if he was my celebrity friend.
He's a nice guy. Yeah.
I mean, that's amazing. Did you watch The Bachelor ever?
I
Have
only
you watched-
I only watched this last season because of him.
Right.
So I met him through my friend Kyle, who became friends with him. They met at a music festival and became friends. And so he was just in and around, and I became friendly with Nick. And then he got in that interim of knowing this guy, he gets to be the Bachelor, and we were like, "What the hell? This is so crazy!" And so, getting a kind of look into that world, like he was sequestered up into Bachelor land for months, and nobody could communicate with him. And then we all kind of watched the thing unfold on TV, despite the fact that he knew what the result was, essentially.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because it's all pre-filmed over the course of a couple of months.
Sure, of course, yeah.
Fascinating.
Yeah.
Completely fascinating.
Yeah.
And I don't know that I'll ever watch the show again, but it was really interesting
Was
to
it what
watch.
you expected it to be or no?
Yeah, it's weird. It's uncomfortable to watch that show,
It
I
is.
find.
I
I find
watched
it's
that whole
uncomfortable what the and it's the same probably for Bachelor, though I haven't seen it, but women or men fawning over someone they don't know.
One person, too.
Exactly. With the intent of marrying that person is so strange to me.
Right.
With after 2 dates, or which is the equivalent of like 20 minutes here and 15 minutes here and a dinner, they're ready. They're like, we had a connection.
Those are nice dates.
But what was so fascinating getting to know Nick was the understanding that environment is so heightened that it completely manipulates one's own emotional feelings and thought processes because you're in a bubble.
Right.
It's a complete microcosm. So the normal rules don't apply. The normal timing doesn't apply. So a lot of these people do believe and think that they have a connection with someone that they don't have.
Because you'll see, like,
It's
they get
fascinating.
out of the limo, they meet this complete stranger, they say hello, and after a hello, there'll be girls talking to the camera that go like, yeah, I mean, it was really quick, but I think we connected, and who knows, maybe we'll be engaged by the end of this thing. And you're like, you said hi.
Okay, you need to watch Unreal. Because that is, Have you seen it?
I've seen the first episode.
Right.
And I guess it was made. Have you seen Unreal?
What's Unreal?
I have not.
It's
I've been
set-
called that.
It's wow. It's good to know. It's set behind behind the scenes of a show like The Bachelor, and it's all about the producers and the execs who are behind the scenes manipulating all of the contestants.
So it's like it's a dramatized show.
It's
but
a
is
scripted show.
Is it
Yeah.
based on reality, or are they just
So
guessing?
the people that created it
Yeah.
came from that world.
Yeah,
It's kinda
so
like-
they
Oh,
know
that's
that world.
awesome.
Is
It's
it
a
like Quiz
brilliant-
Show in a way where they're showing you the underbelly of how a lot of this stuff is done?
Yeah. It's a
Essentially.
brilliant show. And it's the kind of thing that a friend of mine told me to watch it, and I was like, I'm going to hate this. I've never seen The Bachelor. I wouldn't watch this kind of TV. It is addictive. There have been 2 seasons already. There's another 2 coming.
Is it a
I think.
comedy?
Is that true? Oh wow.
There's a lot of humor in
Yeah.
it, a lot of humor, but it's dark. It's dark
That's awesome.
how they manipulate the contestants. And you realize how you get people going, we connected after he looked at me once.
Well, as you're watching, because you know Nick, you're watching The Bachelor. Do you find yourself like falling into this world, being like, no, that girl's not right for him. That girl's right for him.
100%.
You
Of course,
did.
you can't help it.
So were
'Cause
you
you're
like,
watching
why,
it-
why is he keeping Corinne around so much? Corinne doesn't have his best interests at heart.
Totally. And despite the fact that you have an understanding of the inner workings of this thing,
Right.
and how heightened and slightly
And you've
unrealistic the whole
only been in
construct
show
is,
business for your entire life. Like,
you do start to kind of go, oh, well, that girl is ridiculous, but that person's perfect for him. And of course, you get roped
Yeah.
into
It's
the
the magic of
format.
But are you
television,
rooting
right?
for it to be good though? Like nobody wants to see it work out. Like a train wreck is much more interesting to watch than like how was your date? Oh, he was a delight. You're like, well, but if it was a nightmare, you want to hear about it. So wouldn't
Well,
you
that's
rather watch
why
it fall
Corinne
apart?
was on the show for so long.
right.
And that became apparent immediately.
Yeah.
Like, as soon as she had done a few things that were like, obviously you kick her out now,
Yeah.
and she stayed, you're like, oh,
That's gold dust for producers, right?
absolutely.
Got that. And I'd watch every week going, please
And
give her
Corinne's
a rose.
apparently
Please
very
give her a
sweet, by the
rose."
way.
Is she?
Yeah, I've not met her, but
She did
some
not
friends
come,
of mine have.
She did not come across
She doesn't
well.
come across as sweet.
She didn't come across
And that's
well on the
editing,
show.
right?
Sure.
Yeah.
And she's probably putting on a show too, right? She knows her role a little
I
bit.
think all of them are to a certain
Right.
degree. I think it's a mix of people trying to put their best foot forward as to who they are, but also it's a game.
It's entertainment.
Yeah.
Did you see
But
your
it's
friend on that show, or did you feel like he was playing a character?
I will give him the utmost credit and say that I saw Nick. He's a genuine
Yeah, but-
human.
People see Sam when they watch Dirk. and they're like,
Good point.
"Yeah."
Yes,
Good
also when they
point.
watch The Woodsman.
The Woodsman.
He said people see Sam, and I was implying that he was a pedophile.
Oh,
I
right.
was talking about that Sam, though.
I know, I was talking about you.
Are you in The Woodsman?
No,
No. They just
He
modeled
was-
it after his lifestyle.
He's
Oh, wow.
This took a fucking
He's
turn.
making an inference
dark.
that I'm a pedophile, which I'm not. I don't beat my wife or my dog or touch children or do any of those things.
Good. That's so
Actually,
good.
yeah, thank
I'm
you.
so proud of
Thank
you.
man.
Yeah.
Thank you, guys.
Do you know what's bad too? When you watch reality show people who like they do something like that and they have this trying to bring it back. You know, that's a really sad demise. Reality show people when they there's nothing left
Well,
for
here's
them.
the thing, man.
Yeah.
Like you jump on that ship. You're not, to my knowledge, a lot of those people aren't paid a great deal. And then it's a machine, right? And they want to keep you in that machine. And there's a million different things that you can do that kind of keep the lifestyle going, and to a certain degree, financially. I kind of get it. Like if you came from nowhere and then jumped into something, suddenly you're on TV. Your life kind of becomes defined by that thing.
I mean, wasn't that
I
Nick's,
imagine
like-
it's difficult. you
Wasn't
know?
that his third like Bachelor type show?
It
Third
was.
show in the franchise.
He had been
that
on The
had done?
Bachelorette twice, I think, and then he was on The Bachelor, and then before that he did The Bachelor in Paradise. The fact that I know this much about it is
Yeah.
very disturbing.
I
But
think
what
they're a
is-
super
great.
fan.
It's great.
But what is the
Weird.
goal? Like if you're that, like is the goal like okay, I want to get into a quote unquote legitimate
I think it's
project,
just to keep it going.
or do you just want to keep going in that world?
You'd have to ask each individual person. Some people want to just stay in that world.
I think you get fame. Like a lot of people get fame. And
They
they're
don't wanna
like,
let that
oh my
go."
God, how do I keep it? I like adulation. How do I keep it happening? Keep looking at me. I need another platform.
Yeah.
Whatever it is.
Or it's income, right? I mean, it's...
Or for some of them, it's income.
Are you
yeah.
both private guys though? Like would you ever consider doing something like that, like letting cameras follow you around, or do you
Oh, no.
really love your privacy?
No, I would never want that.
I love
No.
my privacy.
Yeah.
That would be a nightmare to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you felt it invaded?
I never have, but I mean, have you ever? I mean, because I walk down the street with you in Vancouver, and like, you get people coming to you all the time for pictures and things. You're always incredibly gracious and humble with them, and very kind. But like, has it ever been more like invasive than that?
Not really.
It's good.
Yeah, because I would think on some level, because you're like super recognizable just from all the years and people, you know, because you've hit people at different points in their lives based on whatever project like of yours that they love.
Mm-hmm.
And I would think that is just as bad as having a camera following
Right.
you around, is that knowing that kind of everywhere you go, people are like, yeah, there he is, there he is, there he is.
It's it's funny, man. I genuinely don't think about it.
Hmm.
Like I leave my house every day without that being a consideration. So
You're
I
just
kinda
kinda
go
used to it.
about. It's not, well, I suppose, but it's still also weird to me.
Right.
Even though I'm used to the fact that people can recognize me and will come up to me, I do still find it a bit funny and a bit weird. But it's genuinely not a consideration. I don't change the course of my day to avoid contact with people.
Which is
And
good.
that's
You've made it. You've normalized it in a good way.
have
Yeah.
to.
Yeah.
Do you spend a lot of time
Have to.
doing Hollywood celebrity things? Like a lot of
No.
people immerse themselves in that world and they only interact with other famous
Totally.
people. And then there's people who are like, no, I just kind of avoid it.
I think that's part of why, part of a myriad of reasons why my life feels normal is I don't. My life exists outside of. I mean, look, for better or worse, it's not to deride anybody who wants to hang out with other people in the industry, because that makes sense too. Like you work in the industry, you're friends with people in the industry, makes total sense. I just have always had friends that were outside it or did different things within the context of the world that we work in.
Like Beyond the Bachelor.
That make like that just make my life richer and different and slightly there's an escape from it.
It's important to have a life outside of this industry.
100%.
And some people don't, and if their sense of self depends on the industry, then they're screwed because the industry is going to go up and down for them. So I think you've got to have a
completely agree.
life.
Yep.